Right, Neuro Linguistic Programming. Most of you are just going to go straight to Wikipedia. Again, we're programmed to do that now. You think I'm mad at talking about programming? No. Right. And obviously this video follows on for the last one. So right off the bat, the first part of the first sentence uses NLP against you straight away. Bang! Neuro Linguistic Programming is a pseudoscientific approach. So it's basically saying it's false, it's not real. Although I'm going to show you later in this video, it's very real and it's used all over the place. And if you don't think it's real, it's being used on you and you don't know it. Right. Communication, personal development, psychotherapy, blah 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 blah. Okay. And it tells you what it is. I'm not going to read it all to you. This video is not so much about going into the nitty-gritty of this. It's more about showing you that it's used, just plain and simple, and some small proofs. Right. Can treat things such as phobias, depression, disorders, etc. Yes, it can be used for good as well as bad. Right. Companies that run seminars marketed as leadership training to businesses and government agencies, that's true. This bit underneath it is not true. There is no scientific evidence supporting the claims made by NLP advocates. So again, lie, rubbish, not true. NLP advocates equated with no scientific evidence, equated with it has been discredited as a pseudoscience. Well, again, they're using NLP on you there. Again, if you're just going to read this website, first thing you come up, bang, Wikipedia, and you go, oh, look at these negatives, oh, it must be a load of rubbish, and then you go away, you've just got yourself inoculated. Take your shot, go back to sleep, Joe Public, don't learn nothing, just carry on turning the wheels of the machine. Right, blah, 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 I'm just going to show you some other bits. So I'll put these links in the description, you can dig them out yourself. I've selected them in a certain order. Right, go back to the top. Northern Ireland's business address, okay? Business first. Ulster University. Ulster University Business School has introduced leaders and managers even, to the concept of NLP at a special event, blah 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 blah. Right, now read carefully. Offers a practical set of skills, techniques and attitudes for becoming more effective in life, both personally and professionally, which has delivered tangible results in organisations such as, well, as diverse as Jaguar Land Rover, Barker's Bank and the United States Army. Tangible results. That is not some kind of pseudoscience, oh, it doesn't really exist. Obviously, if you're going to get tangible results, there's some truth to it. Okay? Plain and simple. And all these, big companies, banks, and the armies use them. Right. It's pretty obvious. NLP is a fascinating concept which examines how our habitual patterns of thinking, communication and behaviour shape our unique experience of life and our interactions with other people. By becoming more aware of these patterns and making small changes, participants can increase their ability to understand influence and effectively engage others. And influence, again, that's another one of those little buzzwords. It's a soft way of saying control. You might not have full control, but if you influence something to some degree, here or there, you are controlling it. And again, it can be used for good or bad. Following this taster event, we hope to offer a dedicated NLP training module as part of our executive education portfolio in the near future. Well, it obviously went well then. NLP skills and methodologies are now widely used to improve outcomes, that again is to do with control, across many sectors including business, health, education, politics, community development and sport. Right? And, government as well. You've got the outcomes, you've got your influence, it's to do with control. Now, we sometimes use, when I say we, I mean all of us as people, sometimes use aspects of NLP without realising it, because at the end of the day it's a social skill, whether it's verbal, reading text, body language, there's lots of different facets of NLP. What we got? But these obviously use it, right? And it just says other places use it. So now go to this one. Manchester City Council. This is United Kingdom, Manchester, the first one. Okay, it's got your crest and stuff. It's part of the government technically. City Council. I don't need to tell you what it counts as, but just for the sake of it, it's obviously a small branch of government, but localised to a particular settlement. Okay, that's what a council is. Same as a shire. Right. Overview. And our NLP practitioner trainings are run over 7 days and include pre-course study design. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay. They've using it, they're teaching it. Right, what can you expect? blah blah blah. I'm just going to scan real quick. Again, there will be in the descriptions certain bits I want to show you. Change your beliefs to empower yourself. How to set well-formed goals and outcomes. The connection between mind and body. Blah blah blah. Okay, there's some personals. Develop your sensory acuity so you really know what's going on with another person. Again, it's to help you get insight to somebody, which then means you may be able to influence or control them easier. Again, could be useful good or bad. I'm not saying NLP is good or bad, I think it's a neutral thing, but it's used often by big, what should we say, influences, government and big jobs and whatever, to control. Notice a state change in others, know what this means and what the telltale signs really are. In other words, you can take a cue a lot easier and then act upon it. Indicators of report, sensory acuity. It's like acute hearing or acute noticing of facial expressions. Blah 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 blah. Become a master of language. Understand the other person's perspective. How to deliver your point of view effectively and without resistance. That's a bit like having a bit more control over a situation or a conversation, isn't it? Get your say noticed. Instill your message unconsciously. Again, putting something in your head. Right? There's aspects of control with NLP. It's used. I'll let you read this yourself. But, again, Coventry, not Coventry. This is Manchester City Council, part of a government technically. Next one. This is Coventry. That's why I said Coventry. It was in my head. You click it. This is the website at the top. And it gives you this PDF download. So now we've got Coventry City Council. Same thing. You've got Lady Godiva riding a horse. Or woman riding a beast. Yeah, okay. So, Freedom of Information Act. Right? Blah, blah, blah. This is a question. How many people employed within your council have undergone NLP hypnosis or training, or registered with NLP, and out of these, how many are social workers? And if you read it, it basically tells you bugger all, we ain't telling you nothing. Okay? We're not going to disclose it, basically. Okay, fine. Blah, 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 blah. Not telling you. Okay, fine. Right? Just want to tell you. Number 2. How many people employed within your council are part of a common purpose? And, how, out of these, how many are social workers? Blah, 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 blah. Unable to list. We're not telling you. Okay. Does your council offer, or has ever offered or planned to offer anything to do with NLP to any of your staff? So, staff within Coventry City Council, do they use NLP? Have they ever used it? Blah 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 blah. The council has and does. So it's not just like a one-off event, it's obviously works, they're going to keep doing it. Offer NLP training to its staff. Right. Do we need to show you any more else? They've telling you from a Freedom of Information Act that they do indeed give NLP training to its staff. They has, that's past, and does, that's present. Okay, they use it, they teach it. Right. Official website of the Sabah state government. Okay, Sabah. Now, where's Sabah? Because I don't actually know. I did look and forgot. State of Malaysia, according to Wikipedia. Okay, fine. An excellent employee motivation secrets course through Neuro Linguistic Programming. Right, so we got state of government talking about NLP again. Does that mean they use it? It's likely. Program name. Just read it to you. Closing date, blah blah blah. Or these some emails we can get to people. Obviously, they're interested in NLP, and they know stuff about it, and they've given it as training. So obviously, the Sabah state government don't have a problem with NLP being a real thing. They obviously don't think it's a pseudoscience, otherwise they won't use it even. And like Ulster University, tangible results. Obviously, it has some effect. Right. How your friends and the media use neuro-linguistic programming to control you. Again, sometimes it's unconscious even. Blah, 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 blah. Right, NLP consists of a combo of verbal and physical cues that cause you to react, think, feel in a very specific way. Couldn't have said it better myself. NLP comes with a number of positive effects. It does, but it can also rank amongst one of the most effective mind control tactics of the 20th century. It is. When done correctly, NLP relies on confusing and vague language to disorientate a target and convince them into doing something they might not otherwise consider. It's akin to hypnotism, but slightly more scientifically proven and less overt, which makes it all the more dangerous. Neuro Linguistic Programming emerged as a light version of mind control techniques used by the CIA on MKUltra victims. That's another video one day maybe. In the 1950s and 60s, while the CIA inundated those poor souls with extreme amounts of drugs and verbal cues, NLP users simply overwhelmed their victims with vague phrasing and physical cues. While it sounds like the stuff of sci-fi movies, this mind control seems to actually work, and how the media may be using NLP to control everyone. Well, there's some videos you can see, not just on YouTube, of how people use NLP in the media. I've had this film. That's from A Clockwork Orange. Right. Rose in the 70s as a technique invented to reprogram one's brain to fix your personal problems, or perhaps more accurately, your personal inhibitions. Do you drink too much? Despise working out, but still want to make sure you get to the gym. Constantly procrastinating? Well, the programming aspects of NLP might make it so your brain forces you to basically be better. Again, you can use it for good or bad. It's a way of influencing whether yourself or another. Okay. What we got? Big businesses. Right. Even though Richard Bandler and John Grinder went their separate ways in 1980, Bandler still makes a lot of money, teaching people how to improve themselves with NLP. The Independent reports intimate 3-day courses costing around £13,000. That's an absolute extortionate piss take, but whatever. And the NLP business is allegedly a multi-billion-dollar industry. Well, they obviously seem to like NLP. They obviously want, well, maybe they're just faking it to get their money. But let's be realistic. People seem to be getting, tangible results. What we got? Okay, so you get the idea. They're using it there. Subjective reality. This tells you a bit more about how it can be used in a dodgy way. Because your mind fills in the blanks if you're not careful. You assume things. Model behaviour. Well, let's see what it says here. I've read these before, but I don't want to read the whole articles to you. I just want to pick out prominent points. Right, the Milton model makes people do things they'd normally refuse. The Milton model is a linguistic technique used in NLP to convince a party to do something they normally would refuse. Yeah, just basically repeating itself. Used correctly, blah blah. Come on, get to it. Get someone over the fear of flying, getting in front of clouds. Yeah, okay, so you're getting, influencing yourself. But like every mental pseudoscience, it carries vast potential harm. Well, again, science just means knowledge, or the gathering of it. If in pseudo is to do with fakeness, so if it's fake science, there might be some fakeness to it. But again, either way, is it fake or not? Because it obviously works, and people are using it, and governments are using it, and businesses are using it, and so on, and so on, and so on. Right. There you go. Non-specific language lets you fill in the blanks. Cult leaders, politicians and advertising agencies make use of ambiguous language and out-of-context phrases in order to allow their future followers to fill in any blanks with their own preferred results. Naturally, this makes non-specific or ambiguous language incredibly dangerous. Even in NLP guidebooks, you find sentences like, everyone already has everything they need to achieve what they want. While the book doesn't mention what specifically a reader has or wants, it sure does make them feel better about themselves, and therefore more apt to spend money. If you find yourself in a scenario where someone uses ambiguous language on you, don't be afraid to tell them to be more specific. By doing this, you're not just changing the tone of the conversation, you're forcing the person to be concise about what they are thinking. That helps you to redirect conversations. And so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. I'll give you the links. Right. 10 ways to protect yourself from NLP mind control. I'm not going to read it all, just going to show you a few bits. This website reckons it's one of the most prevalent methods of mind control. Used by everyone from sales callers to politicians to media pundits, and it's nasty to the core. Well, I've just showed you that these groups and some others use it. Controlling people's minds, yeah, we've gone through that before. Right, I'm going to let you read this website if you want to, because I'm not reading, there's a lot to read, I just want to pick bits out. But number 7, read between the lines. NLP people will consistently use language with hidden or layered meanings. I do that, but I don't use it to control people, I use it to reveal more than one thing at once. For instance, diet, nutrition and sleep with me are the most important things, don't you think? On the surface, If you heard this sentence quickly, it would seem like an obvious statement that you would probably agree with without much thought. Yes, of course, diet, nutrition and sleep are important things, sure, and this person's really into getting healthy. That's great. But what is the laid-in message? Diet, nutrition and sleep with me are the most important things, don't you think? Yep, and you just unconsciously agreed to it. Skilled NLPers can be incredibly subtle with this. Again, this is what I was telling you about on the previous video and at the start of the video, where you get something and you link it with something else. And when you read this, you will think of this subconsciously if it's done enough. And in our culture, things like this are absolutely loaded. Okay? And so on. So obviously they use it. And governments use it. And what does government mean? Well, according to this, by putting government in, etymology from Middle English government, from Old French, blah blah blah, gubernatio. Right, from Greek, kubineo, I steer, drive, guide, pilot. And the Latin mente means mind. Right? To steer the mind. To drive, guide or pilot, to steer, to control the mind. Right? People say, oh, this isn't true, this is a conspiracy theory. That's not even true. No, I mean, all the etymology sources say this about the word government. Gubernatio, right, or kubineo, where we get government from. It means to steer and drive and pilot a ship, essentially. You got your mind, you get, what do you call it, maritime law, controlling ships, the ship of state. Right? Could be a ship on water, could be, you know, a body of control, ship of state, or their laws. Or it could be another type of ship that's not necessarily on water. I'll leave that for another video. So, the government use it, big businesses use it. Where were we? Councils use it. They offer training courses. They admit that they use it. Was and has. They do. Okay? And obviously, if you go to the first thing that most people do, you're going to get deprogrammed, well, programmed straight away to just believe it's a load of rubbish, even though everything else pretty much shows that it's popularly used. Need I say more? There's no conspiracy theory here. It's in your face. They use it all the time. And so every now and again throughout the rest of this series, I'll mention NLP. There's another type of NLP, but I'm talking specifically about this one. I'll mention it a few times. And if you still don't believe that they used it, I've just showed you how to use it on the first part of the first sentence. NLP, pseudoscience, but it's not. Neuro Linguistic Programming, join them together. You read that, you're going to think of that. There's many different types of NLP, this is just one of them. They do it all the time. They do it with buzzwords. You talk about certain things, you say certain words, it gets people triggered. They react. They don't think, they just react, they just trigger. It's based on emotion. And they think words mean what they don't mean, and people can't understand the context sometimes. And you get into unnecessary arguments because everyone's programmed. You might think, oh, well, why do I think I'm special? I don't think I'm special. It's just that I research loads of things all the time, and I woke up to some things, and I'm always waking up to certain things. So I'm trying to get you lot to wake up to certain things. It's up to you what you do and what you believe. But again, if you don't believe this exists, and you think all conspiracies are theories and that they're not true, you're probably already duped, and it's probably going to be harder for you to wake up to certain things, and then you get shafted. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic and/or military consequences of the lie. Make the lie big, keep it simple, keep saying it, and eventually they will believe it. They are quotes from Joseph Goebbels, one of Hitler's henchmen, a member of government, one who knows how to use propaganda and influencing techniques.